Hello, welcome to the channel. Annie Collins here. Today I'm coming to you with a project from Jaded Blossom. I was asked to be a guest designer for this month using one of their new stamp sets called Trashy and Classy. Here's a little preview of the card we'll be creating. The stamp set is called, like I said, Trashy and Classy. It has a single image of a little raccoon ready for winter and 8 sentiments. It's a darn little image of this little raccoon. He's drinking coffee, to me, or cocoa if you prefer, wearing his little winter hat and scarf. I went ahead and stamped our image with Memento Tuxedo Black ink so I can color the image with my Spectrum Noir markers. I will put the caps, if I remember, on the screen here, but I'll have the full list on my blog, which will be linked in the description box below. So I'm going to start out with my lightest color here. I'm going to start out with coloring his little hat that has deer antlers. It's adorable. With the DR1, then I'm going to add a little mid-tone here with DR6, and then I'll put my darkest tone in a little bit with DR7. Then I'll recolor it, again with DR6 to blend in our reds. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not the best colorist in the world, but I'm not the worst. I'm somewhere in between. I'm still learning, like all of us. But I always do my best to keep going. Excuse me. So here I am with the DR7. Going back with the DR6 to blend it in. I know it looks really dark here, but the more I blend, it will smooth out. This little raccoon stole my heart. I mean, he's wearing this cute hat with antlers, then glasses. Little animals with glasses always gets me. It could be because I wear glasses myself, or I'm not sure, but they're just so darn cute. And he has this little cup of joe there, which raccoon with glasses drinking coffee. What? Of course I was in. So I'm going to color the little antlers here with EB3. It's a nice brown. I'll be using that again to fill in the coffee. Now he's wearing an argyle design scarf, so I'm going to alternate the colors between red and green. I'm going to use AG2 for our green and DR1 for the red. It's really small, so there's no need to really put a lot of shadowing in. The spaces are just too tight. So I'm going to color his mug the same AG green. I know my colors, really I do. And again, the mug is really small, didn't want to add too much to it. So here I am going to get into the scarf once again with DR1, filling in those little diamond shapes. And just going down the line, trying to stay within the lines, which isn't always easy. I'm gonna grab the CR2 to put a little bit of pink in his ears. I want just a faint hint in there. This is a real soft pink. Here I remember to color in my coffee. And now we're going to start coloring the raccoon. If I move out of screen, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get used to coloring on screen. It's a different experience than just coloring. And yes, I do like moving my image around because I find it's more comfortable just for me to turn the image. And you can do the same with whichever color medium you're using. I do the same thing with my color pencils, and I also do the same thing when I'm drawing. I tend to move my picture around or my image around. So I'm starting to fill in the entire body of a raccoon with IG3, all except for his little belly. I'm going to keep that a bit lighter. And then I'll go in and fill in some shadows here in a moment. Just finishing him up here. He is so sweet. They have a lot of cute images, stamps in Jaded Blossom. So if you haven't never been to their store, guys, you stop in, take a look. They carry stamps and dies and a few other things. They're at jadedblossom.com. I mean, the cutest stuff. So now I'm doing the IG4 for some shadowing, like I said, under his hat and around his scarf. And here I am off screen. I am sorry. I will move back up. Oops, I remember. Going around, I'm going to go around the parts like under his belly, under his scarf, and by his legs and his feet. And I did the raccoon eyes. I did on my base coat there of IG4. I'm going to go in with IG5, put a little more shadowing into it, and darken the raccoon eye area. I want it to stand out. Their eye area is always darker, so I wanted to give that same feel. Going in, blending everything out. And once again, I go back to my IG3 to really start blending out all these grays now. And this little critter, he has a mustache. What? I mean, how cute is he? He's got his little mustache, his morning coffee. He's like, yeah, 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 Merry Christmas. I can just hear him talking like a little grumpy guy. I'm going to go to his belly and I'm going to go to IG2 because I said I wanted to keep the area nice and light. But I will add some shading with IG3 on his arm and mug. I'm also going to use that for the parts of the tail that I want to keep lighter. And I will use IG3 to shadow that area. Oh, there you go, lid's flying. As per usual in my craft room, it doesn't go a day without something flying across the table. Blending it out with the IG2. And I went with the IG2 and went over the ear section. I didn't want it to be super pink. I mean, he's supposed to be a grumpy guy, right? Sort of, I guess. Okay, so now I'm adding a little bit of detail shadow to the tail with IG6, right in the area of where I did the IG5. And I'm blending that out again with the IG5. See, it didn't put the cap on screen. Gotta get used to that. And here's IG3 for the little bit of shadowing to that portion. Again, no cap. IG2 to blend it all out. Now our little critter is done, except for some little details that I want to add. This is totally optional. You do not have to do this, but it makes the little critter more your own. I go back in and fill in his eyes to make them pop. I also did the same thing for his nose. I wanted it to be even darker. I put some highlights on his tail, his hat, his scarf, and his mug. And yes, my gel pen looks pink on here, but I just let it dry and go over it again. All gel pen, when you go on red, for some reason it bleeds through. It makes everything look pink once you go on it. Just go over it again. So now I have a little bit of silver and I added a few dots there. Little detailed dots on his scarf, on his hat, and those little pom-poms at the end of his hat. And there he is, all cut out. I fussy cut him out. I brought in heavyweight cardstock, card base of 110, and a 65-pound cardstock in light blue. That's going to create our background, which is going to simulate our sky. I hand cut these little snowbanks, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this one here, and I'm going to trace it to give myself a little line because I'm going to pull in some tiny pine trees from another stamp set in my stash. I wanted something to fill the background. Just didn't want him sitting out there just in the wilderness with his cup of joe. So I'm just going to add some trees, faint trees in the background. So to know exactly where I'm going to go, I'm going to do a light pencil line here. You won't see it once the card is done. Between the stamping and then the layering of the paper, it'll be completely hidden. This is, again, totally optional. You don't have to do this. I like shopping in my stash to bring in other stamps to complement my other stamps in creating cards. There's nothing wrong with mixing and matching. Now I'm going to check real quick, and I realized I want to fill it completely. Wasn't sure if our little raccoon would cover it or not. Add the last set of trees, and now we have that forest in the background. I'm going to bring in some Versamark ink. Using my powder tool, it's stuck, so I'm going to have to open it, drop some of the powder out. This is an anti-static tool. It will help the embossing powder just stick only to the ink, which is the Versamark ink. It's a clear sticky ink and is made for embossing. So the embossing powder will stick to that rather than the entire card. And I'm stamping little snowflakes from the same stamp set that I used those little background trees from. And it's noted on my blog if you're interested as to which stamp set I use. So I'm pulling in some Ranger white, detail white embossing powder for my snowflakes here. And if some gets on the trees, if it's still damp, I'm not worried about it. It just looks like snow on the trees. Well, I can see a little area I want to add another snowflake to, so I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Add my embossing powder, and then I'll start heat setting it with my heat tool. I try to start on the bottom and then I move to the top. This helps with the warping. It helps minimize the warping if you heat set from the bottom and then the top alternating. So I did it on the top and I'll do it again on the bottom off screen. There you go. And now it's set. Cleaned up the area on my desk so we can continue. I removed the adhesive backing off of our first snowbank. I'm going to place it and put it in place. And our second snowbank, I'm going to add some low profile adhesive. And here goes me fighting with the adhesive. This is what happens when you have no nails. I can never get the backing off in one shot. So I'm going to place this one on top and cut off any excess that we may have. And we're going to add our little critter. Well, nope, first I'm going to adhere my card panel onto my card base. So I'm putting a little adhesive in the center to help minimize that warping. I'm peeling off the adhesive backing off two of the corners. This helps me because I have a hard time lining things up. So now I can line it up, press into place, and remove the rest of the adhesive backing. And there you go, all lined up. Now I can get my little raccoon, which I'm going to add some adhesive to him as well. Some foam adhesive, I should say. I just cut the snippet to, okay, here's the deal. I lost the ending of my card somewhere. But what you missed was me stamping the sentiment on a piece of cardstock and fishtailing the end and adding some jewels and just placing my little critter onto the card. So I'm trying to show you here, if my camera would zoom in, there we go. I added a few little details along his scarf, just little silver dots in between each of the diamond shapes. There are the snowflakes. I'm going to try to focus. There we are. Here it is. Once again, the Trashy and Classy stamp set featuring this cute little raccoon with 8 sentiments from Jaded Blossom. I would like to thank Jaded Blossom for having me guest design this month. It's been a great pleasure. Here's one last look at the card. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to catch you next time.